everywhere, and I hear again she has a set of twins. That's 8 years ago.
Yes.
So how were you able to, juggle all this together?
Well, I will say, as we say, Alhamdulillah, it's by the glory of God. Honestly, I can't see how it has worked, but I think
like serious drugs. Oh,
so
no.
so you see, we have to. So I felt that we just have to have an effective coordination of the health sector response for humanitarian crisis. It's the largest that has ever happened to us in Nigeria, I believe. So I think that was the most challenging moment for me, but we were able to go through it, come up with a very good strategic plan and the health sector framework, which is guiding now what is happening in the Ministry of Health. And because of what I saw also during that time, the most affected are the women and children. Yes, the vulnerable groups, and then also the elderly, because I was there when we started setting up the camps. We started setting up the clinics within the camps with the support of all our development partners, and also the state government was at the forefront of it. But you can see the sufferings of women. There was a day I took a picture of about 11 women that had 11 sets of twins.
11 women, 11 sets of twins. That's 22 children.
Twins, yes, on their way from Burma just to reach the IDP camp.
Oh, no.
I still have their pictures. And that made me to say, how do they feel? Because the women are also malnourished. So we started preparing nutritious food for them, kunu and moi, and then the granite pap and all that. So there's so much to do, and that was quite challenging to me.
I must say thank you. And I know at the moment you're rested. My time is up, but I'm quick to ask, what is your plan next? Where are we expecting? Because Dr. Salma has to just bring something on board.
Yes, I think I am still planning, and I'm still thinking of how do I make the maximum impact on the lives of Nigerians, especially women and children. Just like I decided in the past, I can't just sit in the clinic and be waiting for sick patients to come. I have to go out. And I think now I have gone out. I have been part of program development at all levels, international, UN, the government of Nigeria, and I've worked in other countries as well.
Imagine Mr. President goes, like I said, what is he possibly going to harvest from there? And one of the things that happens after such visits, the US-Nigeria Binational Commission held last year, they came up with a couple of MOUs, which timelines have been given, and these timelines may likely be part of what Mr. President will be doing in the United States, tied to economic issues now. So if, imagine, at the end of his visit, we have a trade delegation coming in from the United States to Nigeria, how ready are we? What should we be doing in readiness for this? And when they come, would we have enough to domesticate what they're coming to do?
Well, that's a very important aspect we should look at. It's not a question of bringing in investors. The most important thing now is that under the leadership of Mr. President, a lot of reforms and policies have been put in place to ensure a very comfortable and safe investment environment. You look at the policy on ease of doing business. It's very important so that the investors will have that confidence that yes, you're coming to really invest in an organized economy, organized system, a secure environment. And that is why Mr. President, since he came on board, has bent on ensuring that there's security in this country. Because one of the most important things in any nation is security. You don't expect an American investor to have the confidence in you where he is not sure that his investment will be secured. And secondly, you don't expect a foreign investor to come to a nation where the policies will be so constraining for him to run his business. So this is why the governments have deemed it very important to institute ease of doing business policies, and it's working. That aspect is covered. There won't be unnecessary bureaucracy, for instance, in registration of company or getting started. That area has been taken care of, and the president, out of tenacity of purpose, have ensured that there's a very high security in the nation.
If the nation is not secured,
yes,
investment will be challenged.
Definitely.
Now, that happens to be one of the areas they are going to. What word of your assurance do you have for all of us who are either apathetic about Mr. President's visit, playing politics with it? Is it all about building Nigeria or depleting Nigeria?
Fine. Thank you very much. I will call on my fellow Nigerians to first support and pray for Mr. President. This is one of the most modest and purposeful presidents we have had in our history, and he meant well for this country. There's no need of playing politics for an issue that will be beneficial to every Nigerian. And every Nigerian, including myself, is praying to see Nigeria of our dream. And Nigeria of our dream is Nigeria that will be free from corruption. Nigeria of our dream is Nigeria where you have the basic amenities.
$1 billion.
Yes.
We expect to get more of that.
Definitely. Thank you so much. Kunle Shume, policy analyst, it was nice sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you so much, sir.
Chief Cassidy Madweke, management consultant and public affairs analyst. Thanks for joining on Insight.
Thank you very much.
Up next on the program is the interview segment. Stay with us. Nigeria, no doubt, is the biggest democracy in Africa, and so far so good. 1999 to date, inching towards full-blown 18 years of uninterrupted democracy has gone a long way, and so many African countries are trying to learn the model. What did Nigeria really do? And truly, we hope and believe we'll still be counting 50 years, 80 years of democracy, and all the disconnects and connections will all be amended and will be seen someday as a perfect democracy in the world. Well, we'll be looking at political issues, public governance, procurement on this segment of the program. My guest is a politician. Here he has a governorship ambition, governorship in the executive, legislature, and judiciary relationship within the analysis you have given. Is it doing well? Have we also progressed in this perspective?
Well, democracy from its theoretical definition are supposed to be government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But there are institutions that are supposed to function effectively to guarantee, smooth operationalization of those democratic principles and values. The separation of power component of it is a well thought out idea. But as to how far they have been able to smoothly, successfully implement that in Nigeria in the last 18 years is another conversation altogether. However, if we are to conduct introspection, in retrospection of what it is we have been able to do very well in terms of interaction among the three arms of government, I would say that they have been able to manage their relationship fairly well, because of course the judicial arm is meant to interpret the law, the legislature is meant to make the law, and the executive is meant to implement the law. Now, if you look at it since 1999, there have been some sort of smooth, interaction and implementation, operationalization of their constitutional obligations and responsibilities. However, there have been some overlaps as well. There have been some overlaps. There have been some overreaching of each other's obligations in certain cases, where you could see that executives, in some cases, want to detect what happens in National Assembly, choose their leaders for them, and to manipulate what happens within, the National Assembly or the legislature, the legislative arm of the government. And so you could see that there is that level of overreach from one side or one arm of the government against another. You could see that there are some cases where the National Assembly would be discussing an item and somebody would take the same item to court, and then the judiciary will make a pronouncement, and then they'll tell you that it's already prejudice, that you cannot mention any item that is already in court in the chamber in National Assembly. or on the floor of the National Assembly. So we have certain cases where each arm of government would want to outdo or overreach itself, you know, just for some peculiar personal or collective
I enjoy your
interest.
analysis.
Yes.
But before we exhaust all this, I want us to touch virtually every issue.
No problem.
As busy as you could be. Being somebody who is not in a governorship ambition, I know a lot of steps has been taken, but let's just touch on it a bit.
Yeah.
Yes, when the Chief Justice of Nigeria was sworn in and he assumed office, he sustained the position anti-corruption, and he set up a committee within the judiciary arm of government for that. A lot is happening in the executive, as you have said, a lot also in the legislature. But a mild drama, which you call the beauty, one of the beauties of democracy, and played that out the other day at the National Assembly, the Senate precisely, where the mace was missing. The mace has been found and returned. As a politician not seeing the ambition of being the chief executive officer of a state, what comments do you make of that? The taking off of the mace, the return of the mace, and so forth is playing out. It's politics now.
Yeah, truly, for us, we are setting bad precedents and bad examples for the younger ones, because the National Assembly is one institution that is well respected, and the expectations and the trust the people have for that institution is so high, non-negotiable, that must not be soiled under any guise. The members and the personalities elected into these two chambers, that is House of Reps and the Senate, are expected to be honorable members and are equally supposed to be honorable in their dealings and ways and manner they handle, you know, their affairs. The same way the senators are supposed to be distinguished. When you are described to be distinguished, that is, you are exceptional in several considerations, in your conduct, in your thinking, in your courage, and in your mannerism, relationship, thinking. So we expected so much from the personalities that are within the National Assembly. If you looked critically at what happened in the National Assembly, you would know that indeed it was more or less like a managed drama by key, actors within the National Assembly. For example, it has been alleged that the senator was involved, and it has equally been alleged that the security operatives within the National Assembly might be culpable in the entire drama, because if you look at how fortified and how structured the security system of the National Assembly is, you would appreciate how impossible, almost impossible, for those guys to have free ride from the first gates all the way to the hollow chamber of the Senate. And then not only that, they're able to come out and went all the way out of the National Assembly without any successful arrest. And then how did they manage to trace them to a particular point? And then they only found the maze and the object, but apparently they could not arrest the culprits, the perpetrators. And then today the issue now is it has been returned, but the culprits are not anywhere to be found.
Let's hope that something is done about it.
Yes, so we hope something should be done about it, that we shouldn't have a repeat of that kind of incidents, because apparently we would be setting bad precedents. That is a place students come to on excursion to learn democratic processes, how institutions conduct businesses of democracy, and then what are you going to tell them? Even this is not the first time. There are some cases they even fight in the chamber.
That's why I use the word beauty of democracy.
It's not, no,
And
that's,
it's not
no, it's not, no, that is not the beautiful part of democracy.
Moving forward,
it's an ugly part of
moving
it.
Forward, I see you fall within